what is it like to be a CEO of your own company. She knows exactly what it feels like to need to take important decisions, strategic decisions in the uncertain times that we're in, without having enough elements to decide, without having enough time, enough resources. But you need to make decisions, strategic decisions, and in the now, like not tomorrow, okay? Because these are going to have important, huge impact on your business. So Jen is going to share with us today a way and an important tool for you to use in order to determine which strategy will work for you, okay? Will help you go hopefully through this crisis and through those uncertain times. So definitely, like I said, grab a sheet of paper, a pen or a pencil, and be ready to take some notes. She is going to really share very important stuff with us. So thank you, Jen, again. Thank you for being part of that. And the floor is yours.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the introduction, Ines.
I mean, you deserve it. I didn't add anything.
Everyone, hello. Thank you for being here and spending this time with us. We really appreciate it. And I hope you get a lot of value today. So like Ines said, I've spent over 15 years in the fashion industry, managing sales teams across North America. I'm from Vancouver, BC, and I worked in New York City for a global apparel brand, running sales and distribution, trained sales teams, quit corporate, started my own handbag company, and after 6 years, I sold the business and exited successfully. That's when I started my coaching business to help entrepreneurs and executives live a more fulfilling life by supporting them in getting the results that they want, both professionally and personally. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and we're going to go ahead. All right. So today's workshop or talk is going to be about creating 2020 vision in the COVID-19 crisis, how to pick the right strategy. So obviously there's an overwhelm of choices that you could be working on when it comes to yourself and your business. And so today I'm going to help you with creating more focus and clarity on your plan to ensure that you're working on the right things in order to get the results or the outcome that you want. So a lot of the time we can be distracted with busy work that doesn't directly impact the results. So I'm going to give you a formula that will make reaching your goals inevitable. And where entrepreneurs and people in business get stuck are in strategy and execution. When you're executing and you're not getting the results that you want, then you're doing the wrong things. And if you're executing the plan and you're not getting results, then it's the wrong plan. So think during the course of this presentation, what might be stopping you from reaching those goals or the results that you want? So I'd love for you to send in either in the chat or in the Q&A what your biggest challenges are right now when it comes to your strategy and your structure, and what is affecting your mindset the most. So I'll give you a few moments for that, and then we can go over them at the end. Great. So today, our agenda is going to be giving you specific tips and strategies with how to pick the right one, and are you doing the right type of work, and how to create and maintain structure in an uncertain time. So this is going to be practical guidance and support for you, no fluff, so that you can take these tips and strategies and immediately apply them to your business and your life. Hopefully it'll give you the inspiration and the motivation that you need in order to kickstart what you're in control of, and just to give you the confidence that you've got this, because these are going to be actionable steps that will allow you to focus on what you can control. Because during these times, there's just an overwhelm of fatigue and exhaustion, and we all can understand and relate that. So 2020 vision, quarantine strategy. Ask yourself this, and if you can, write it down on the piece of paper that you have. Who do you want or your business to be when this crisis ends? Crisis is unexpected, and every business faces times of crisis, whether market-driven or self-inflicted. If you have to go through a tough time, don't waste the experience. Crisis often presents an opportunity to create a competitive advantage, improve your company, or fix the management team. If there is a problem in the company, be it in person, product, strategy, or division, admit it and fix it fast. Plan for what the company will look like when the crisis is over. There will always be customers willing and able to buy value, and you need to find them, serve them, and treasure them. So right now we understand that obviously people are a little bit more conservative in their spending, but there are a lot of other growth areas when it comes to e-com and other services that maybe before the crisis happened weren't experiencing this type of growth rate. So there are people willing and able to spend, and you just need to find them. What is one thing you'd most like to accomplish by the end of all this? By the end of this crisis, by the end of the quarter, by the end of the year? So this is going to be the main thing that creates the strategy that you need to fulfill on. So think about this for a second. It should be a result that is meaningful and important for you to accomplish by the end of this crisis. And 3, leadership. If you are leading a team and in your business, it's necessary to be hopeful and realistic at the same time. It is much harder and much more important to be a good leader when things are down. Be truthful, but do not overpromise. Spread hope no matter how you feel personally. Great leaders see the upside and make sure the team sees it also. There is nobody to rescue the company but you. Don't expect the bailout money to save your business. Expect more from yourself and of your team during a crisis. Whatever was acceptable before, during good times, may not be acceptable now. So treat your people well, both your team and your customers, and you will reap the benefits in good times and in bad. So your goal is the result that you want or the outcome by the end of this crisis. So what is the single most important thing for you to achieve by the end of this? And it must be SMART. And probably many of you know what SMART stands for. Is it specific? What do you want? And is it direct, detailed, and meaningful? Is it measurable? How will you know when you have reached it? Is the goal quantifiable? And are you able to track progress or success? Is it achievable? Is it in your capability to accomplish it? And do you have the tools and resources to attain it? And is it realistic and relevant? Can you realistically achieve it? And is it aligned with your company values and your mission? And finally, is it time-bound? Your goal has to have a deadline. So this is the one thing that I would like you to write down, the one most important thing you'd like to achieve by the end of this crisis. And here is your strategy. This is the prescription in order to create the plan to reach your result. So you break down the goal into 3 performance-based projects that you can affect that would make that goal inevitable. Now, what that means is you have a goal, and then you break that down into 3 steps. 3 steps that, if you accomplished, would make that goal inevitable. So like I said, often where people get stuck is strategy and execution. So if you're executing and you're not getting the results, then you're not doing the right things. And if you are executing the plan and you're not getting results, then it's the wrong plan. So here's often where people get distracted with the busy work on things that may not directly impact that result or the most important thing that you would like to achieve. So I'm going to give you some examples here. So let's say, for example, your goal by the end of the crisis is that your company actually survives over the next 3 to 6 months. So then let's break that down into 3 performance-based projects that, if were accomplished, would make that goal inevitable. And in my opinion, I've broken it down into these 3 things. That you must reduce churn, and that means that you need to maintain your customer client base for the people that are still paying, and hopefully not allow more customers to either cancel or pause or stop payment. The second thing is finances. Have a look at that and organize it in a way where it's completely black and white and you know exactly where you are in the books and what your numbers are at. And then 3, what are the opportunities for growth for your business? And then after you break that down, that goal, into 3 things, then you break each of those 3 things into 3 things as well. So this is a very simple formula, but it creates that focus and clarity so that you only do the things that push the needle forward and that directly impact your results. So I've broken down each of those 3 things into action items as well. So for the first one, reduce churn. You got to keep your customers happy by giving them value. You have to communicate with them in order to understand what they actually value and what they appreciate about you and your business. And 3, identify any problems or issues with your current service or product, and you fix it fast. So those are the 3 things that, again, if were accomplished, would make reducing churn inevitable. Now, number 2, finances. Have a look at your books and your numbers. What are the essentials versus non-essentials? Where can we trim the books in order to survive? And looking at the business objectively, where is it logical to cut expenses? And if the need arises, have the courage to make the cuts deep and fast as possible, as you only want to do it once, especially when it comes to team, because any more than level 1 round cuts usually decreases team morale and productivity and all that. Now, number 3, do a SWOT analysis in order to identify what your opportunities for growth are. And SWOT analysis is defined as strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'd probably like to bet that most of you have never done a SWOT analysis for your business or haven't done it in a really long time. Right now, during crisis, this is a good way to see your business as an overall blueprint, to see what you're really good at, why customers keep coming back to you, what your weaknesses are so that you can grow them in the areas of improvement, and then find out what opportunities arise. And those opportunities will give you an idea on how to pivot your business. And then, of course, the threats, like what the crisis is presenting, certain regulations and restrictions of social distancing and traveling, and all those types of things and policies. So again, do your SWOT analysis and have you or your team discover what your customers or people are willing to pay for now. Because like I said, people are still spending, but what are they spending on and why are they spending on those things? So if you can figure that out, you're going to be able to find new ideas or new ways in order to service your target audience. Now, is there a feasible pivot for your business that you are capable of delivering? That is the magic customer. I mean, that's the magic question right now. And the only way to really understand if that's going to be a viable option is if you actually get direct feedback from your target audience. So brainstorm, create those ideas, those options for a pivot, and then bring it back to your target audience and get the necessary feedback in order to make the right choices. Now, I've identified, in my opinion, the need to haves in order to reach that result goal of my company surviving within the next 3 to 6 months. Now, the nice to haves that aren't need to haves, I think, are growing my social media, maybe. If it doesn't directly impact the results that I want, that will move the needle forward. So it'll be nice to have a larger following, but if I can't find a way that have it directly translate or convert into sales, then is it the right type of work? Because for right now, maintaining or creating income or possibilities for it is integral for survival. So if there's a way that you can do that, say with social media, then you just need to figure a way to do that. All right. Now let's see. No questions. Good. All right. So create and maintain structure. What do you need in order to be successful? There are 3 things that you need in order to make sure that you are focused and you're productive. And that is mindset, strategy, and accountability. With mindset, I mean, how do you see yourself? What is your perspective on the work that you're doing, the value that you're contributing, and with whom the people that you are servicing? And with strategy, do you know for certain that the things that you are working on are working towards those goals and directly impacting your results? Because a lot of the time, especially right now, we're doing things that we're not really certain that it is the right thing to do. And then that'll lead to avoidance, giving up, procrastination. So you need to have the right strategy and the right mindset in order to fulfill on those action items. And then the third part is accountability. So do you hold yourself accountable? And if sometimes that is a hit or miss, then can you hold someone else to keep you accountable? Because usually we work well when we have to answer to somebody else, when someone else is expecting a deliverable from us. But sometimes when we actually just have to hold ourselves accountable, that's where we drop the ball. So just know that in order to be successful, you need mindset, strategy, and accountability. Now, how do you set yourself up for success? So what I mean by this is, what do you need in order to have a productive day, in order to feel like you can take on the day, especially when often we feel overwhelmed or fatigued or just exhausted by the number of options that we can do to either work on ourselves or on our business. So in this case, what do you need at home in order to create an effective workspace? And especially for those living at home alone, what do you need in order to feel fulfilled and feel connected? Can you do something in order to create community so that self-isolation isn't so terrible? And what do you need in order to take care of yourself and in self-care? So I know that if I want to have a focused and productive day, I need to wake up at a decent time. That's 7 a.m. I need to have my coffee, have my water, and plan out my day. So when I plan out my day, I do my one main goal that I want to fulfill by the end of the day, which is exactly the same as that formula that I gave you. And then I break that down into 3 steps that, if were accomplished, would make that goal inevitable. And then from there, of course, those 3 steps are also broken down into 3 steps. And I just know for my own productivity that if there are too many things on my to-do list, I'm not going to get it done because I'm going to feel that overwhelm, because I know a lot of us has probably experienced this. The longer the to-do list, the more I end up procrastinating or avoiding it. So breaking it down into main priorities and then breaking it down into certain action items that you know will impact that result will help to keep you focused and also clear on what you need to do, which will ultimately help to increase your productivity. So again, with the prescription, you identify what your big goal is by the end of the crisis. Sometimes, actually before this crisis happened, I did an annual goal, and then I broke that down into quarterly, and then broke down each quarterly goal into monthly, and then into weekly. So this, in turn, creates your daily structure. Like I said, every day I plan my day before I start it. So I know exactly what I need to do by the beginning of the day. And by the end of the day, I can check those priority items off and feel highly productive, because there's nothing more satisfying for me, and hopefully for you too, than physically checking those things off your to-do list. So if you have this daily structure and you know ahead of time what you need to be doing, then that's going to help you maintain focus and productivity. And to find a way that to make sure that there are metrics according to those results and those action items so that you can actually track your progress. So this is something that I'm living by right now. Don't let this crisis go to waste. Use it as an opportunity to build, grow, learn, or understand yourself better. And this applies to not only yourself, but also your business, your team, your partner, and your life. And if you have any questions or want to deep dive into that formula, that prescription that I was teaching you on, go ahead and shoot me an email. There's my website, also my Instagram. And I realize that these times are challenging and difficult. And my number one goal is to give you value and help you through this crazy time. I realize that some of you may not be in the position to get any coaching like this right now. And I also realize that some of you could be, and it might actually be the best time for you. So if you're the former, that's fine. I hope you got value. And let's stay in touch and shoot me any questions you have from today. And if you're the latter, that's great. Apply to get a 15-minute call and let's continue the conversation. So thank you very much, and let's answer some questions.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you very much. Actually, we have a few questions, and I would like to start with an overall question. There's someone who threw this question earlier while you were speaking. Maybe it went too fast or something like that. So would it be fine? Would it be fine if you could just, do a kind of recap, like with the main steps, okay? Because people were taking obviously notes at the same time, listening and taking notes is not obvious. So just if you could go back just to the outline, the main, points in order for us to take notes, please.
Let's do it. Okay.
Thank you.
So
the steps, okay? I'm in a crisis and I need to choose. What should I do?
Okay, so first you need to understand what the most important thing you'd like to achieve by the end of this crisis is, right? So that's the most important thing. What is meaningful to you? What is a little aggressive and could be a bit scary to admit, but it's that flag at the top of the hill that you want to work towards. Because if that goal is not meaningful for you, then it's not going to have the guts in order for you to commit to it. So you just make sure that that goal is important to you and it's meaningful. And, usually if it's according to your business, it's a revenue goal, or it can be number of customers or clients that you want to add to your roster.
Specific, right?
It has to be specific. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound.
Smart. Right. Okay, so the goal is the first step. All right, got it.
Yes, so that is the first step. Now the second step is to break down that goal into 3 performance-based projects. And by that, I simply mean 3 action items. If you were to accomplish those 3 action items, then that would make that goal inevitable.
Can you give an example, for instance, with 3, when you say 3 actionable things, can you think about anything?
Yeah. So for example, this example here. So I want my company to survive the next 3 to 6 months. That is with already people pausing contracts or stopping payments or just taking a break because they don't have any income or revenue coming in. So now I have to think of a plan in order to keep the lights on and in order to still be able to help people by the end of the crisis when things get back up again. Because, this crisis will end. It will. We just don't know when. So are you going to prepare yourself in order to be there and available when the opportunity arises, when people are willing to spend again?
Yes,
because
and you're ready.
Yeah, there's going to be people that want to celebrate and spend money. So you just need to organize yourself in order to be prepared for that. Now, the 3 things that I wrote down that, if were accomplished, would make that goal inevitable. So for my company to survive and be in a good financial place, because that's what I mean is surviving, is that you can still pay the bills, you can still pay your people or pay yourself. And sometimes if you can't pay yourself, then can you live off of that? So the only way to figure that out is number one, reduce the churn. So maintain the customer client base that you have, right? And hopefully not any more customers or clients are going to stop payment or pause. Two, have a good look at your finances. You need to know exactly where your numbers are in order to see where you can cut expenses and what the possibilities or opportunities are in order to save on those costs. A lot of them are fixed, but also a lot of them are variable. Can you renegotiate contracts with vendors? Can you defer payments? These are all opportunities that, during this time, people are more than flexible to help you out with that. And then three, finding opportunities for growth. So like I said, there are people willing to pay. Now we just have to find them. So
I love that. In fact, I love that. Because you're talking about growth when people first reflex is thinking about contracting, about, stopping paying things, about, ending contracts and just surviving. And I love it when you talk about growth and expansion. It's actually exactly the opposite that is being done by, most business owners, and they just stop thinking about growth. This is unthinkable for them to expand in times like that, while it is necessary to think about expansions now more than ever, actually.
Exactly. And a possibility for finding opportunities for growth are asking your current customer base or your current clientele what is valuable for them, and get a good understanding on aligning your strengths with the value that you're providing, and then also the money that they're paying for it. And is there more opportunities there? So if there is a part of your service or product that they really appreciate, can you expand on that? Can you pivot a little bit and maybe service a different target audience or something that is still in your wheelhouse and your capability in order to fulfill on that pivot? So there are a ton of opportunities, but you also have to do the work in order to identify what they are. And so one of the tools that I use with myself and also my clients is that SWOT analysis: the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then that gives you a blueprint on your business as a whole.
And then also you said earlier, you said something like being frank about yourself, telling the truth to yourself. You said something like that, and it clicked to me.
Yeah, not only to yourself, but also to your team. Is as leadership, you need to spread hope, but also be realistic. So this is not the time to overpromise. This is a time to be honest and quite transparent with yourself and your team.
Absolutely.
And also do the work that's needed in order to survive. And we've got a question coming in. How is this easy while living in a country? In addition to COVID, we are facing a huge economic crisis, a country with a collapsing economy. It is really huge and difficult to sustain. Okay, thank you, Miriam.
Yeah.
I would love to know specifically what your biggest challenges are when it comes to what you're trying to create, and whether it's with yourself or your business. And then with that context, I can possibly give you more specific tips and strategies.
So Miriam, please provide more details about your question, and let's keep answering the other question. Actually, you were going through the steps, right?
Yep, these are the steps essentially that I just went over. So you have your goal, and then you have your 3 action steps that you need to accomplish in order to reach that goal, right? And what this does not include is the busy work, is the stuff that is distracting, like taking new photos or, doing more videos on Instagram. Like, is that going to directly affect the result that you want? Or is it things that are a distraction? And so that's okay if they are, but just know that your time isn't best being spent on yielding the results that directly impact what you want.
Actually, this makes me think about something, about self-sabotage, actually. this kind of actions, do you think that is an aspect, a hidden aspect of self-sabotaging? So of sabotaging yourself, you know, just that's why I was telling you earlier that sometimes we don't tell the truth to ourselves because it hurts, because it's hard to look to the real picture, because it's scary sometimes. So maybe some people tend to, without knowing it, self-sabotage their business or sabotage themselves by trying to do many things, okay, and working on many projects that, like you said, maybe are not their top priority right now. Maybe you're not supposed to take more photos right now. This is not, like you said, not going to immediately impact your business or your income or the amazing strategy we're talking about. But this is going actually to keep you busy and thinking that you're working so hard to get out of this crisis. So maybe you can talk a little bit about self-sabotage. I remember I attended one of your conferences and it was amazing. If you could share just a little bit about self-sabotage with us, I'll be very happy. And thank you for that.
Yeah. So, for example, the self-sabotage usually comes in the form of a negative mindset. So if we are not feeling great, if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're uncertain of the work that we're doing is even impacting our results, then we deviate to the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance means avoiding, giving up, and procrastinating on the things that we need to be doing. So for example, when I had my handbag company, I worked on updating my website, having more products on the website, making sure my social media and my lookbook were beautiful and had a nice elevated aesthetic to attract a certain type of customer. So that is the distracted and busy work. When I knew deep down the real work that I needed to be doing was calling customers, having people on the phone, getting my product onto shelves, and making sure that I get my product in front of the buyers so that they will ultimately make a buying decision whether or not to carry my product in their store. What do I need to do that? Literally cold call. Do my research, make sure all of these stores qualify, call them on the phone, get their contact info, be in their face, and then market myself. Be this nice person that also represents not only my handbag, but also myself. So being comfortable with being rejected and understanding that the no to my handbags doesn't mean no to me as a person. And that failures don't mean that I'm a failure of a person, because failing and mistakes are all part of the process. No successful business owner will tell them that they've never made any mistakes or made any failures, but it's about reframing that failure. To me, my reframe is failure equals feedback. And the more chances I take, the more action that I take, then that only gets me closer to the right path by knowing or not knowing whether it is the right type of work or not the right type of work. So that's like another way to figure it out too. As long as you're taking action in the right direction, then you will be getting the feedback that you need in order to understand that that's working or it's not working.
I actually love it when you separate, when you talk about separating your identity as a business owner and your personal, your own success or failure from the failure or success of your business. Because especially young entrepreneurs and business owners, we tend to identify to the company that we created, and if it succeeds we are successful, and if it fails we are a failure, and we start, you know, this negative talk, and we start beating up yourselves. And I'm sure you encountered many people, you know, like that.
Everyone goes through it. It's natural just to
Yeah.
focus on the negative. And so we really have our work cut out for us by focusing on the positive, because just as humans, it's a lot easier to focus on the negative. It's more like a survival tactic. But just knowing that successful people, it's not that they don't have those negative thoughts, is that they don't let that anxiety or stress dictate their plan. They actually acknowledge it.
Okay.
Yeah, they acknowledge it, that it's there, and then they turn that anxiety into action. Okay, so there's fear there. What's the antidote to fear? Curiosity. Let's just take a few steps in the direction of fear so I get more information and feedback to actually knowing. Because a lot of the times when we have that fear there, it's because we don't know the outcome. But the only way to know the outcome is to do the work. So
Yeah,
I
that's
hope I answered
interesting.
everyone's question.
So what you're saying is that many people, more than we think, actually practice self-sabotage. Did I get that right?
It's natural that the self-sabotage, how I define it, is doing things that we know aren't going to help us, or doing things that get in the way of our own success.
Hmm.
So a lot of the times we just are in our own way, right? And what I mean by that is we're being too hard on ourselves. We put that pressure on ourselves that no one else expects from us. But we try to be perfect, and we try to do things in a certain way according to plan. And when things don't go according to plan, we beat ourselves up about it. And then we feel even worse and worse and worse and fall into a spiral. So, yeah, what I'm just trying to say is be a little gentler on yourself, and just know that taking action is better than taking no action at all. And so the no action is the self-sabotage, is when we just give up or procrastinate.
Thank you for that. I don't know if our friend Miriam answered.
She
Um,
said priority of people is changing.
yeah.
So that might mean that people's needs are changing, or what they prioritize and how they were spending has changed. And so, of course, that happens all the time because markets are linear per se, but they're quite volatile, especially during this time. So, when that is happening, perhaps you can get the feedback from customers or your target market or potential clients or customers, and ask them what it is that they value and what service or product do they need to satisfy. What are some of their needs, and is there a way within your capabilities and your wheelhouse that you can deliver that in a way in which they're willing to pay for it? And so the only way to understand if your product or service is meeting the expectations of the customer is to simply get that feedback. So have an idea, and then do your little bit of research and ask potential customers, maybe it's friends or friends of friends. And outside of that, you're following your target audience, you can just even be that transparent. Hey, I'm thinking of a new product, or I'm thinking of a new service. What type of things would you love about it, or what type of things would you really value? And what kind of things are you spending on today? What's important for you?
Yeah.
And so that is just like a one exercise or tool that you can use in order to just gain more information, in order to have opportunities come your way.
Um, let me go back. There's something. Oh, okay. So we have an answer from Miriam. Yeah, she said thank you. That's very helpful. If you have any questions, guys, that's the right time to, I don't know, if you have further questions, we will be happy to answer. We still have a very few minutes, and we'll say, since we still have Jen with us, okay, somebody's typing. So,
That I want to make sure that Laura had her question answered. So Laura said, how to make sure that I have the right goals. Now,
oh, okay, yeah, I didn't see that one. Sorry about that. Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
we answered that, Laura. Essentially, to make sure that you have the right goals is the one thing that is going to be meaningful for you in order to accomplish. So it has to be important, and it has to be something that you are willing to work towards in order to gain that commitment. It could be something along with your business, it could be with yourself, whatever it is, personal or professional. It just has to be important and meaningful to you. And then that right goal is you break that down into the prescription here.
Okay, can you think about any examples maybe that might speak more to people, like goals that are really important? Maybe you can remember some of your mentees' goals without, of course, mentioning anybody's names, but goals that really come from the gut, goals that people are really interested, like they're really into it, and this means a lot to them. And the stronger the goals are, the more they speak to people, the harder they're going to work toward those goals, right? So can you maybe remember some that you can share with us maybe?
Absolutely. So, for example, I have this client of mine. She is a software developer and she owns a business doing that type of work.
Okay.
Now, her one main goal that she came to me for is to become a respected and a respected and wanted speaker at events. So she wanted to speak at conferences, at huge tech conferences, and maybe one day have the goal of speaking at a TED Talk or something like that. Now, her biggest fear that was holding her back and in her own way of success was she didn't want to be in the spotlight.
Oh,
And
okay.
she didn't like to be in front of people.
That's hard for a public speaker, definitely.
Of course, because it made her uncomfortable. So in that case, breaking that down into 3 things, for example, well, in order to be a sought after speaker, you need to do speaking engagements. And in order to do those speaking engagements, you have to contact people and reach out to them, reach out to your network, ask for referrals, do your own research online to see if there's any local opportunities that would be willing to have you speak. You have to speak for free. You have to find what these opportunities
Make
are.
people know that you're ready for that.
Yeah, exactly. And then ultimately, you have to be doing the things that make you uncomfortable in order to reach those goals. So she was scared to speak in front of people. So she had to reframe and change her mindset and her beliefs about being in the spotlight. So one of the things that she believed was that if she messed up while public speaking, people would think she's stupid and that I messed up and then maybe I don't deserve to be there and that I don't know what I'm talking about. But then when we reframed it to, you do have a lot of value that you are giving to people. The people here want to hear you speak. And then 3, you're actually helping them. You're helping them by sharing what you know and what you have experienced. And in fact, you'll be doing a disservice to them if you don't speak, because you have all this gold inside you, all this wealth of knowledge. And if you don't share that, then it would just be a shame because all these people want to know more about the subject, whether it was at that time, it was blockchain or some other tech thing that's way above my pay grade.
Interesting how you reframed it. I love it.
Yeah. And that's as simple as that. That's what the mindset is all about. That mindset, strategy, and accountability, the 3 things that you need. Be productive and successful. So it's just really about reframing that and understanding what holds you back, how you get in your own way, and then turning that into action. So reframing also your relationship with failure and how you see yourself, because if you ask people who care about you, that know you, they're not going to say any of those things that you think about yourselves, most likely.
I love that. Reframing your relationship with failure. I'll remember that. I really love it. Do I have your permission to share it with my students? Because I love it, the way you're framing it. Yeah, so reframe really your relationship with failure. Be ready. I say to my students and in my workshops and conferences, be ready to fail. Just be ready because you're going to fail. And if one day you're going to succeed, you need to be sure that you're going to fail so many times before that you need to be comfortable. You need to get comfortable with that. I really love that. This is a game changer, your relationship with failure. Absolutely. Let me check if we have other. Go ahead.
Failure is just feedback. It's just more information to tell you whether it worked or whether it didn't work. And if it didn't work, then you know better now. And if it worked, you keep on doing that thing that works. So you have to experience failure in order to be successful. There's no way around it.
And not to take it personally. It's not, you are not a failure, just your actions, the way you tried to do it didn't work. So you need to try something else. That's it. And not taking, we tend to give, like you said in your workshop, we tend to give meanings and put meanings in everything and take it personally, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and see if we have other questions. I think thank you. That was helpful. Yeah. I don't know if we want to reach out to you, people want to reach out to you, Jen, if people want to know more about your work and maybe, I don't know, go back to you for questions or, Okay, so we have your email. That's hello@jenmetiola.com. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And then the art of reframing, Ballman. Yeah, Miriam, thank you. Thank you for sharing. So definitely, if you are interested in knowing more about Jen's work and like how can she probably help you, one, you said like people can reach out to you through your email for a free 15 minutes call. This is what you said?
Yeah, so if you're interested in getting coaching right now, then apply and email me and let's continue the conversation and we can just talk about what your current challenges are and how I might be able to help you. Or if you also just want a little bit more help with the breakdown of your goal into the actionable items to create that formula for your strategy, then I'm also more than willing to help you there as well. So either way, just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you very, very much. I can tell that if you try to reach out to her, definitely this is going to make a difference. I can tell that because I was there, because I was her mentee, and definitely from the first sessions that we had together. And I'm just not, I'm not trying to be nice to you, because this is the truth. The first, believe me, from the first session that we had together, there was, I felt like there was a shift in this mindset, and this is so hard to get. One of the hardest things is that to make yourself, have yourself think differently about the same thing, definitely. And sometimes it is simple things and simple ideas that make you really change your mind and work on your mindset. Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you. Best of luck in your endeavors. Thank you so much for being with us today. And again, if you want to know more about her work, jenmetiola.com. I think we're done. We answered everyone's questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jen. I want to remind you that we have another video, another session that is going to take place in 1 hour. Okay, we'll be talking about pivoting with Aileen, that is going to come from to talk to us from Silicon Valley, and definitely I'll be happy to see you there. Jen, thank you very much.
So much.
Bye bye.
Everyone.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Bye.